Alright guys, I'm back with my review of this week's TNA Impact Wrestling for June 20th, 2013. And the show starts off showing Sting arrive at the building. He shows up wearing a suit because he's gangster now. And then we see all the participants of the BFG Series in the ring. Hogan comes out and says Hardy won the poll, no surprise there. Austin Aries and Christopher Daniels tell Hardy that he doesn't want to face them, but he just ignores them and says he's going to face Rude later. So they all start fighting, and AJ actually goes after Hardy in the brawl, I noticed. First match, Anderson calls out Joseph Park for the first match in the series. And I don't know if it says Anderson or asshole, but does Anderson's vest or cut say asshole, where it normally would say president or something like that? Seems kind of strange, but I guess he's the asshole of the group. But Park gets Anderson in the Boston Crab, but Doc comes out and distracts Park. Anderson rolls him up, Park kicks out. Park goes for the splash, but then Anderson distracts the ref and Doc kicks Park in the head. Anderson hits the mic check for the win. So Doc had to interfere twice for Anderson to beat Joseph Park. Anderson's happy about his win, and he tells the guys that he's going to be the next VP. Doc gets pissed off and says he had to help him win the match. He should be the next VP. They start fighting. Bully comes up and says they decided they're going to vote on the next VP. Jay Bradley calls out Austin Aries. Aries wins with the brainbuster. Not much to it. Backstage, Sting says the Mafia grows tonight. And then we see Sting shake hands with a man in the shadows. Chavo's giving Hernandez a motivational speech before his match. I don't know if they dropped the heel turn or what's going on with Chavo right now. It honestly wouldn't surprise me if they just dropped it. Hernandez calls out Christopher Daniels. Mike Tenay says to Taz, "Who do you think Sting was talking to?" Taz says, "Yeah, I don't know." There's our Spanish announce team, and just completely changes the subject. Daniels low blows Hernandez and hits the moonsault for the win. Kazarian calls out Magnus. Kazarian taps to the Texas Cloverleaf, so Magnus gets 10 points. Hogan's on the phone, and Bully comes up holding the hammer. Hogan grabs him and shoves him up against the wall. And Bully says he just wants to talk to Brooke. Hogan says they're officially done as of right now. And Bully says, well, why did she stop you from hitting me with the hammer then? And Hogan is seen contemplating this. Brooke Hogan comes out in an atrocious knockout segment here. This was horrible to watch. I felt embarrassed for Mickie James. I don't know what was up with her, if she was high or something. It was just really weird. But Brooke comes out to address the knockouts division. And she has all the knockouts come out, which are Eric Young, ODB, Velvet, Taryn, Gail, Mickey, no Tara, no Tessmacher. So you got some slim pickings here for the knockouts. And Eric Young was easily the best part of this segment, but it was still incredibly bad. He could not save this thing. But anyways, Eric Young, because he's not a woman, has to give up the knockouts tag team titles, which they should have just retired right then and there. They probably will in the future, I hope. You could just see, because these were all the knockouts they could muster for this segment, they really have no purpose for tag team titles. But Brooks says next week it's going to be Velvet versus Mickey, and Taryn Terrell will face Gail Kim in a ladder match. I'm not sure when that's happening, but I really hope that girl doesn't get hurt, because Taryn Terrell is not a great wrestler like Gail Kim is, and I'm afraid she's going to go out there and take some insane bumps. I hope she doesn't, but a ladder match with Taryn Terrell and Gail Kim sounds very dangerous to me. Backstage, Hogan has Brooke leave the arena. AJ Styles comes out and says he wants to become the world champion, but not for fame and glory, but for money. And he's going to do his own thing. Samoa Joe versus AJ. Not really a bad match. They've definitely had better, but I thought this one was okay. Taz says he's on the Main Event Mafia's email list and would know if they were really coming back. Joe gets AJ in the choke and he reverses it into a pin, but Joe kicks out. They run out of time, so it's a draw. AJ attacks Joe afterwards and ends up with a busted nose. Bully calls Brooke and tells her to come back to the arena because he wants to talk to her. He sends Doc, Devon, and Nux to make sure she gets there. Hogan tells Sabin, Kenny King, and Suicide that whoever comes out on top next week has to make a choice to stay X Division champion or give it up to face Bully Ray on July 18th. Main event is Rude versus Hardy. Rude goes for the Fisherman Suplex, but Hardy hits the Twist of Fate. He goes for the Swanton and misses. Rude gets Hardy in the crossface, but Hardy escapes and hits another Twist of Fate for the win. Decent match here. Backstage, the cameraman asks Sting if he's leaving, and he says he still has some business to attend to. And the cameraman says, like, family business? This was so freaking cheesy. Bully Ray comes out, and he calls out Brooke Hogan, but instead Sting comes out. Sting says he's going to get some retribution tonight, so he starts taking his clothes off. Bully calls for the aces, but Sting points to the screen, and it shows all the aces and eights have been laid out backstage. And he starts attacking Bully. Bully tries to run up the ramp, and he runs into Kurt Angle. And Kurt Angle gets him in the ankle lock, and Bully Ray is tapping out and Sting's in his face, and that's how the show ends. So Kurt Angle is in the new main event Mafia. I think this was an obvious member. I think we all knew Angle was going to be involved, and because it is so obvious, I'm glad they revealed him first. So now everybody else can be a surprise. Hopefully they got some good names for this, and it's not a disappointment, because I do think it has potential. Some of the stuff they did tonight was a little cheesy, but overall I did think this was a pretty good Impact. They had a lot of matches. None of the matches were really great. Nothing really special about any of the matches, but it was still a wrestling-focused show. The only thing that really sucked was that knockout segment. I could not believe how bad that was and how long it lasted. Just the acting with Mickie James and everything. Oh my God, it was so bad. I'm just thinking about it now, and Mickie James saying that line about the pigeons and stuff. It was just terrible stuff. But anyways, that's my review of this week's TNA Impact Wrestling. Hope you guys liked the video. Leave your thoughts on this week's show in the comments, and thanks for watching.